So, want to know what really went down in the market today?
Yeah, it wasn't just another Monday on Wall Street.
More like, I don't know, a scene from some kind of financial thriller,
Yeah, it
right?
definitely had that
We
feel.
had McDonald's battling, food poisoning fears.
Yeah.
Tesla, defying the odds again.
Of course.
And NVIDIA, reminding everybody that even those AI darlings can, get caught in the crossfire.
It's fascinating, actually, to see how these online communities like Wall Street Bets become these, I don't know, echo chambers of market sentiment. They just amplify all the hopes and fears of investors.
Right. And today, oh man, those hopes and fears were on full display.
Oh, for sure.
Starting with that S&P 500, took a 0.75% nosedive right out of the gate.
Wow.
I mean, it's been on a 22.5% tear this year, so
Yeah.
I guess some profit taking was to be expected.
Absolutely. I think a lot of investors are probably thinking, time to cash in some chips before things get dicey. And then plus you've got pre-election jitters, right? And all the global economic anxieties, swirling around. China's slow down those fluctuations in metal and oil prices. It's just a recipe for uncertainty.
Okay, speaking of uncertainty,
Yeah.
let's talk about, the elephant in the room, or should I say the E. coli in the burger.
Oh, right.
That McDonald's food poisoning scare.
This is a classic example of what we call a black swan event.
Yeah.
Those unpredictable occurrences that can just throw the market into a tailspin.
Right.
And while a few unlucky folks are dealing with some, very real consequences, the market's reaction, well, it can sometimes be more dramatic than the event itself.
For sure.
Yeah.
Case in point, some folks on Wall Street Bets were actually celebrating MCD's dip,
Oh, wow.
while others were calling for, a full-blown market collapse. The buy ammunition, plant potatoes crowd.
Oh, yeah. It's like that classic fight or flight response, but, playing out in the financial world. And then you have the contrarians, right?
Yeah.
The ones who see, opportunity in all the chaos.
Totally.
One user even mentioned they bought MCD calls and actually profited from the whole debacle.
Talk about a high-risk, high-reward play.
Definitely.
But it just goes to show, I guess, volatility can create some pretty unique opportunities.
Definitely can.
But on the flip side, we had another user. He was warning everybody that MCDV, that sharp rebound in the stock price, was a total trap.
Oh, really?
And guess what?
What?
They were right.
Wow.
So
That's why it's so important to stay level-headed amidst all the noise.
Yeah.
Just because everyone's jumping on the bandwagon doesn't mean it's headed in the right direction.
Right. FOMO,
Yeah.
fear of missing out,
Right.
can be a really powerful
Oh, for sure.
and kind of dangerous motivator in the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now let's shift gears
Okay.
to the main event,
Right.
Tesla's earnings report.
Ooh.
The anticipation on Wall Street Bets was palpable.
Right.
A lot of users were betting against Tesla.
Really?
Yeah. And expecting a major drop.
Oh, wow.
One comment that really stood out to me was Tesla put loss porn will be fucking legendary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there was definitely this sense of doom and gloom surrounding Tesla in the lead up to the earnings release. It's important to understand the concept of a short squeeze here.
Oh, right.
When a heavily shorted stock like Tesla unexpectedly rises,
Right.
it can force those who bet against it, the shorts,
Yeah.
to buy back shares to cover their losses,
Okay.
which drives the price even higher.
Oh, I see.
So all that negative chatter on Wall Street Bets
Yeah.
might have inadvertently contributed to this phenomenon.
Yeah, it's almost like a reverse self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
Everyone expects a drop.
Yeah.
This ends up fueling a surge instead.
Exactly.
But hold on to your hats.
Okay.
Because this story gets even more interesting. Tesla actually beat earnings expectations, sending the stock soaring after hours. You should have seen the reactions on Wall Street Bets.
Oh, I bet.
Pure disbelief and frustration from those who bet against Elon.
That's why Wall Street Bets can sometimes be a contrarian indicator. When everyone expects a certain outcome, it can be a sign that the opposite might happen.
Right.
But before we get too caught up in the Tesla victory dance,
Right.
remember they missed on revenue,
Oh.
adding another layer of complexity to the whole story.
Okay. So not a clean sweep for the Tesla bulls. And it raises some important questions. Is this a sign of trouble ahead or just a temporary blip? What does it
Yeah.
mean for Tesla's long-term prospects?
That's where you, the listener, come in.
Yeah.
Don't just take our word for it. Dig deeper, do your own research, and form your own conclusions.
Right.
Because ultimately, it's your money on the line.
That's true.
And even with all the noise and the conflicting opinions,
Right.
there are always opportunities for those who can, like, cut through the clutter and think for themselves.
Okay, case in point.
Yeah.
We had another WallStreetBets user. They bought TSLA calls despite the overwhelming bearish sentiment and actually ended up profiting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which goes to show that even in a market fueled by, memes and emotional roller coasters, a well-informed independent analysis
Yeah.
can still pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reminder that the market doesn't always, play by the rules.
Right.
Sometimes the best opportunities are when everyone else is, like, running for the hills.
Okay, so we covered McDonald's, Tesla, but there's another player in this market drama that we got to talk about,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
NVIDIA.
Ah, NVIDIA. The company practically synonymous with AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd think they'd be, like, immune to all these market swings. Well, not quite.
So,
Even with its, dominant position in the AI chip market, NVIDIA's stock NVDA took us on quite a roller coaster ride today.
yeah, users on WallStreetBets were reporting losses on puts and calls, basically, meaning they were getting burned whether they bet on NVDA going up or down,
Oof.
like trying to predict the weather in a hurricane.
Exactly. And that's because NVIDIA, despite its, strengths,
Yeah.
it's still susceptible to all those same forces that drive market volatility.
Right.
Things like investor psychology, broader market trends,
Mm-hmm.
and even those looming uncertainties we talked about earlier, like the upcoming election and
Right.
those ongoing tariff fears.
It's enough to make anyone want to, I don't know, bury their money in the backyard and call it a day.
Right.
But before you give up on the market altogether,
Yeah.
there's a silver lining to all this madness.
Who's
Yeah.
that? It's fascinating is, like, by understanding these dynamics, right? By recognizing the role of, fear and greed, by deciphering all those narratives that drive stock prices,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually gain a valuable edge.
Okay.
You start to see the market not as, like, a random casino,
Right.
but as a complex system with its own logic, its own patterns, its own opportunities.
So it's not just about picking the right stocks.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the psychology of the market,
Yes.
recognizing those moments of like irrational exuberance
Mm-hmm.
and knowing when to, zig when everyone else is zagging.
Precisely. And that's where WallStreetBets can actually be surprisingly insightful.
Really?
It's like having a front row seat to the collective hive mind of retail investors.
Interesting.
You see the fear, the greed, the hope, the despair all playing out in real time.
And sometimes, amidst all the memes and the trash talk,
Oh, yeah.
there are like nuggets of wisdom.
Oh, totally.
Like the user who pointed out that a pullback after the S&P 500's impressive year-to-date gain was actually healthy.
That's a great point. That's a
Right.
great example of how stepping back and, like, taking a broader perspective can help you avoid getting, swept up in the emotional roller coaster of the market.
Right. Another user advised against buying calls on major indices for the next 2 weeks, citing the upcoming election as a source of uncertainty.
A wise observation. The election always injects this dose of volatility into the market
Mm-hmm.
as investors try to, like, anticipate the potential impact of policy changes on various sectors.
But there's like a deeper lesson here, right?
What's that?
Don't let your political beliefs, cloud your investment decisions.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype,
Oh, for sure.
the fear-mongering, and the partisan rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
But, remember, your primary goal as an investor is to grow your wealth, not to, make a political statement.
Absolutely. Make sure you're looking at the fundamentals, analyzing the data, and considering those long-term implications of your investment choices, regardless of who's sitting in the Oval Office.
Okay, speaking of looking beyond the surface,
Yeah.
let's talk about those V formations
Yeah.
that everyone on WallStreetBets seems to be obsessed with.
Right.
It's like they're all waiting for the market to just magically bounce back from every dip,
Oh.
as if like some invisible hand is going to swoop in and save the day.
Right. There's a certain element of, like, superstition and wishful thinking at play there.
Mm-hmm.
People see a pattern, right?
Yeah.
A sharp decline followed by an equally sharp recovery.
Yeah.
And they just assume it's gonna, like, repeat itself every time.
Right. But as one user pointed out,
Uh-huh.
sometimes that V turns into an L.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning, like, that hope for recovery never materializes.
Right, and that's why it's, like, so dangerous to rely solely on patterns and past performance.
Mm-hmm.
The market's a dynamic, ever-changing beast.
Right.
And what worked yesterday might not work today.
So how do you, like, stay ahead of the curve?
Right.
How do you know when to buy, when to sell, when to just sit tight and ride out the storm?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I guess so.
There's no magic formula, no guaranteed path to success, but
Yeah.
but there are, tools and insights that can help you navigate this complex landscape more effectively.
Right.
For instance, one user mentioned, like, the RSI,
Oh.
the Relative Strength Index.
Mm-hmm.
It's a technical indicator that can give you a sense of whether a stock is, like, overbought or oversold.
Okay.
They pointed out that the RSI for SPY was back to neutral,
Interesting.
suggesting that the selling might resume soon.
So.
Now, before you rush out and start making trades based solely on the RSI, it's important to, understand
Yeah.
that it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Think of the RSI like a speedometer.
Okay.
It can tell you how fast a stock is moving,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't tell you where it's going.
Right.
To figure out the destination, you need to look at the map,
Yeah.
the fundamentals of the company, the overall market conditions,
Yeah.
and yes, even the sentiment surrounding the stock.
So we're back to sentiment again.
A full circle.
That intangible force that can, drive markets to irrational heights or send them crashing down to earth.
Yeah, and WallStreetBets is the perfect place to observe sentiment in action.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this raw, unfiltered reflection of how retail investors are feeling, what they're thinking, what they're betting on.
We saw this play out in a big way with the reactions to Tesla's earnings report.
Oh, yeah.
Leading up to the release, sentiment was overwhelmingly bearish.
Uh-huh.
A lot of users predicted a major drop.
We even saw that rather dramatic comment about Tesla put loss porn being legendary. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Hard to forget that.
Yeah. But then, as we discussed, Tesla defied the odds and beat earnings expectations.
Right.
Sending that stock soaring after hours.
And suddenly, the mood on Wall Street Bets shifted.
Right.
The Tesla put loss porn crowd was stunned.
Yeah.
And the comments ranged from disbelief to, like, grudging admiration.
Wow.
We even saw a few, I fucking love you, Tesla, messages sprinkled in.
It just goes to show how quickly sentiment can change.
Right.
And it's a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected outcome is the most likely.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even when the market, seems predictable, it can always throw you a curveball.
Yeah.
Speaking of curveballs, saw some interesting news today about Apple cutting orders for the iPhone 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That kind of news can, like, send ripples through the entire market. Apple's a giant, right?
Yeah.
And a slowdown in iPhone sales could impact suppliers, manufacturers, the whole tech sector, really.
Yeah.
It really highlights how interconnected, like, the global economy is.
And, of course, we can't forget that upcoming election always adds another layer of uncertainty to the market.
Oh, right.
One user even joked that weed stocks only go up 2 weeks before an election.
It's a humorous observation, but it touches on a real phenomenon.
Yeah.
Certain sectors are, like, more sensitive to political cycles and potential policy shifts, and, savvy investors keep that in mind.
For sure.
So, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Wait there.
McDonald's, Tesla, NVIDIA, overall market sentiment, even Apple and the election.
It's been a whirlwind tour of market mayhem, for sure. But what's the key takeaway for you, the listener? What have we learned from all this?
I think perhaps the biggest takeaway is that, the market isn't this monolithic, predictable entity.
Right.
It's a complex ecosystem driven by, well, human behavior, like a tapestry woven from threads of fear, greed, hope, even a touch of madness.
We've seen it all today, right?
Yeah.
The wild swings, the emotional outbursts on Wall Street Bets, the calculated risks, those unexpected triumphs, and even those, inevitable losses.
But amidst all the chaos, there's a certain beauty to it all. This, like, dynamism that keeps us on our toe, constantly reminding us that nothing is certain. Anything is possible.
It's a challenge, an opportunity, and ultimately, like, a reflection of ourselves.
So as you navigate the market's ever-changing landscape, remember, stay informed, stay curious, and most importantly, stay engaged.
Because the more you understand those forces at play, the
Right.
psychology, the trends, the narrative, the better equipped you'll be to make those informed decisions, achieve your financial goals.
And hey, maybe even have a little fun along the way.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride.
Keep diving deep.